Hi everybody! Today I am going to make the classic chocolate chunk cookie from Mark Bittman's How to Bake Everything. I'm just going to use regular chocolate chips. I don't have any solid pieces of chocolate that I'm going to chop up. I'm just going to use the chocolate chips because they're a little bit easier to deal with. Not really making a lot of adjustments for high altitude. Cookies in general don't need a lot of adjustment typically. I am going to reduce the both of the sugars, the white sugar and the brown sugar, by just a little bit. That's actually the recommendation if you read the back of a bag of Nestle chocolate chips. There's a high altitude recipe on there, and that's one of the things that they tell you to do. But other than that, I'm not going to adjust anything, and this really is Mark Bittman's recipe that I'm following. I'm going to use ground flaxseed for the egg. Here are the ingredients for the chocolate chunk or chocolate chip cookies. We've got some flour, some white sugar, some brown sugar, flaxseed meal, which is going to replace the egg, some butter, some chocolate chips, salt, a baking soda, and vanilla. Just the basic classic recipe. The only difference really is that flaxseed that I'm using for the egg. All right, here's the dry ingredients. We've got some flour, baking soda, and salt. I'm just going to whisk those together really quick and then work on creaming my butter and sugar next. Okay, I've got the brown sugar and white sugar in there along with some butter. I'm about to cream those together. As I said before, I did reduce the sugars both from 3/4 of a cup to 2/3 of a cup each. So I'm going to cream those together until they're light and fluffy. Got some vanilla extract in there, and I'm going to add the ground flaxseed. There's 2 tablespoons of flaxseed mixed with 6 tablespoons of water to replace the egg. And I'm going to beat those in really good and then add the dry ingredients. That's mixed pretty well, so I'm going to add the dry ingredients, the flour, baking soda, and salt. There they go. And mix those in. Oh, gotta lock my mixer first here. Mix those in pretty slowly, because if you go fast, then the flour goes everywhere. And then just until it all looks like the dry is mixed in. And then I'll add the chocolate chips. Alright, so the cookie dough is all mixed up. I'm going to scrape the sides down a little bit as I mix it, and I've got my chocolate chips. He has the chocolate chips measured out by weight, so that's what I did. This is 8 ounces of chocolate chips instead of 8 ounces of chocolate. So I'm gonna mix those in. I'm gonna use this handy dandy bowl scraper that my mom gave me. It's really cool. I haven't really had a chance to use it yet, so I'm gonna use it for this. And just to fold in those chocolate chips. You don't want to overwork your cookie dough because then your cookies aren't nice and crispy and light. They kind of get tough. So the less work, the better they are. All right, so I am just dropping a tablespoon-ish sized dough onto the cookie sheet. I don't really worry too much about them being all exactly the same size or the right size. I do have a couple cookie scoops, but I find the dough just gets stuck in them and I end up having to get it out with my finger anyway. So I just rather use a regular old tablespoon and just kind of shape it on the spoon and then drop it onto the tray. These are gonna bake, I think, for about 10 minutes or so, maybe a little less, maybe a little more, I don't know. I didn't change the oven temperature at all, so we'll see how they turn out. Alright, so the first tray of cookies did not turn out too great. Spread out too much, probably because the butter, melted too quickly, and then not necessarily enough flour in the mixture to absorb that. I don't know how to explain it better than that. I did use butter. A lot of times when we make chocolate chip cookies, we use margarine. I know that a lot of people are kind of against using stuff other than butter, but sometimes for things like chocolate chip cookies, it really does work better. But since I can't go back and take the butter out of the dough, I am going to actually add some more flour to the rest of the dough and see if that will help. All right, so this is the second batch after I added a couple tablespoons of flour. Still, you can see kind of spreading out too much and too greasy, maybe a little bit better. But honestly, I think I'm just gonna toss the rest of that batter in the trash and try again using margarine and adding extra flour as well. All right, so here is my second attempt at making these cookies. I did, obviously they did a lot better. I did make them a little bit smaller when I scooped them out, so they do look a little bit smaller than the ones from before. But they're not gonna have as much rise to them because they don't have egg, so they do sort of start to deflate as they come out of the oven, but they don't have that spread out greasy look to them. I used margarine, and then I followed all the high altitude directions that are basically on the back of a bag of Nestle semi-sweet morsels. So you increase the flour, you decrease the sugar a little bit, and you actually add some water in as well with the flour. So anyway, they turned out a lot better and I am super happy. So I'm gonna let them cool off a little and then make sure they taste okay. But as far as I can tell, these turned out great. We've tried the cookies now and they turned out great. They taste just like chocolate chip cookies should. The only thing that's different is there's flaxseed in there for the egg, and the sugar and the flour are changed a little bit, but they taste great. They're a little bit flatter than your regular chocolate chip cookie because they don't have egg, and they may not have quite of a brown color to them as they would because of the lack of egg. But Jacob already ate his. He's too fast for me. What'd you think, buddy?
It tastes like a chocolate chip cookie.
Tastes like chocolate chip cookie. Okay.
Exactly like the ones you make.
Yes, which ones that I made, sometimes we use applesauce for the egg or other things. This is the first time I've used flaxseed, so they're good. How about you, Jill?
It's nice and warm and chocolatey.
Yeah, yeah, so they're definitely a hit after that big kind of misstep there with the butter and probably not having enough flour, but these turned out great. So thanks for watching.